Welcome to Between the Lines. It's Thursday night. We're ready to go. This is our semi-annual show. Chuck Fleischmann, recent MVP of the Republican-Democrat baseball game, is with us this week and next week. We're going to talk about domestic issues this week, energy, particularly writing bills, all the new stuff he's doing as chairman of the new subcommittee. And then next week we're going to talk about everything international, because really he has a tremendous intellect and awareness of things that go on and across the world. That was always his specialty, is that he knows a lot about that. So we're going to get together. Welcome, Congressman.
Alan, it's always great to be with you. 7 straight weeks in that crazy city on the hill. So it's good to be back.
You didn't get to come home for 7 weeks? I mean,
on the weekends.
You didn't get a week off, though?
Didn't get a week off.
7 weeks.
Straight through.
Got the bill in, yeah.
Got debt ceiling, got the energy and water bill written and out of full committee. So that's been an experience. But it's great to be back in the great state of Tennessee.
Chuck, he's a little bit humble on these things, but he has been a congressman on this committee for 8 or 9 years, or is it 8 years or 10 years? I think he went on
it's over a decade now. Yeah,
okay.
After my first term.
So he knows a great deal about this, and he's represented Y12 for us Oak Ridgers, ORNL, and the OK25 and all that. Now, if we translate that into contractors, of course, we've got CNS, UT Battelle, and we've got UCOR. But a lot of employees there, 8 or 10,000 employees, and depend on things. So he represented that $7 billion investment year after year after year. Now he is the chairman of the committee. So that means he represents the entire nation. He has to help and research and staff and committee staff write a bill, write the bill that funds. He's an appropriator, writes the bill that funds each of these departments and all of these things. He also serves on 2 other committees he'll talk about. And he's just very important. Would it go up this year? 58 billion?
About 58, yes.
$58 billion he sends through for our national security, our defense, our legacy cleanup, and many other things. How has that gone so far?
It's gone very well. Okay. Thank you, Alan. As you alluded to, I have been an appropriator now for well over a decade. And I've served on the Energy and Water Subcommittee, which funds all of the Department of Energy and the Army Corps of Engineers. It's a wonderful portfolio. Bureau of Reclamation, had to learn something about Western water. But Oak Ridge is in my heart. It has always been my heart. Yeah. This reservation, the people here, my gosh, ORNL, Y12 UPF, our great cleanup mission, ORAU, this is the place.
Yes.
I tell people, whether I'm traveling abroad or whether I'm going across the United States or people come to see me, I tell everybody, Oak Ridge is the Rome of DOE world. Everything comes through here. We do it all. I'm a little biased. I think we do it better than anybody else. Right. I believe that fervently. We've proven that over the past decade plus. But as chairman, it's been a very different dynamic. Now I represent the entire portfolio, so we have people from sister sites, Savannah River, Hanford, Los Alamos. Everyone is coming to see me. All the national labs, sure. All the DOE sites, and of course the entire Army Corps of Engineer portfolio, Chickamauga Lock in the south in Chattanooga. I love the job. It's been a very different dynamic. My very parochial, but a good parochial role in Oak Ridge for DOE. I was satisfied, and we did very well in this bill for Oak Ridge. Oak Ridge is my heart, will always be. But I was very, very fair and good for other sites around the country as well.
Let me ask, we're going to cherry pick some of this stuff so we know.
Sure.
I want to talk about how important UPF is. I want you to give me a little bit of a background on why UPF is necessary. Let's go back to 101 and what's going on worldwide and domestically that makes UPF, maybe, in my opinion, the most important thing going on in Oak Ridge.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Alan. The world is dangerous. America's nuclear arsenal is our best deterrent against ever having a nuclear event. Y12, the men and women, the contractors there for years have worked in a facility that is older, has had some construction issues, has literally had some concrete falling. These men and women are true American heroes. They work hard. They always get their work done. What do they do at Y12? They keep our nation's nuclear arsenal updated and on track. Very important. Our sister site in Pantex, that is also run by CNS, does the primaries on nuclear weapons. Oak Ridge does the secondaries. That is all well and great. But several years ago, when I came to Congress, we talked about building the uranium processing facility, or the UPF.
And why do we need that?
We need that to replace Y-12, to make sure that we continue to keep America's nuclear arsenal the strongest, the greatest in the world. And we are doing that. However, we had problems in the beginning. It was going to be $20 billion. It almost didn't happen. Senator Alexander and I worked very hard with people like Tom Mason, with former Secretary Moniz, and we made sure that this became a reality. It is being built now. There are several things being built. We've had to do quite a bit of work. COVID and other things have had some cost overruns, some delays. I'm not happy about that, but we are on track to ultimately get it done. Hopefully by 2027, 2028. It's going to cost a little bit more. But again, Alan, when we needed the key funding, I stepped in as chairman. I looked at what we had to do, and I was able to get it done. It was done on my signature. That's very important.
That's true.
Yep.
And it was a cooperative effort. I mean, I think Congress as a whole understands the importance of. And are we so far into the project that it's really just a matter of how we fund it?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
No question. And it's going to be great when we get it done. Let me say this, though, to answer the other part of your question. Why is it so important? Unfortunately, Russia has been reckless in Ukraine. Russia has been reckless in its rhetoric. It's unfathomable that Russia could actually be talking internationally about the prospect of using a nuclear weapon. That's a non-starter. We can never have that type of rhetoric, and we have got to be very forceful in our pushback against that. When they talk about using even a tactical nuclear weapon, that is dangerous. That is something that should be off the table, persona non grata. You just do not do that. They're doing that. They're still doing that with their rhetoric. So what we have to do, we have to tell the rest of the world.
But if they're down to that, it seems that's almost a desperate kind of defensive maneuver. In other words, hey, we'll pull the big boy out if you don't leave us alone.
That's right. Or a small boy that has very, very long-term effects. I mean,
that's right. So growing up in the city, we know a lot. Most people know a lot about it. So basically, if you dropped a hydrogen bomb in 1965 on Knoxville, everything from Crossville to Bristol was going to be annihilated immediately at a 25-mile radius, whatever. Then we started figuring out how to build tactical nukes that you can drop in Farragut that would maybe hit the edge of Oak Ridge and maybe hit the edge of Alcoa, but the radiation's where you're going.
Exactly. Yeah. And then the potential for escalation.
Oh.
The world is a dangerous place. There are, give or take, 10, probably potentially 12 countries with a nuclear capability right now. We know of 10. And we do not need
how
to
many
see
delivery
that.
Systems, though? How many do we know?
10 for sure could deliver.
Yeah.
The other 2 are on the cusp. I hope they don't get there.
Right.
Some countries actually gave them back. 30 years ago, we had 10. Some countries actually gave up their nuclear arsenals, and I'm thankful for that. Others have joined the club. The bottom line is America needs to keep a robust, updated nuclear arsenal. We are doing that. We also do that with the energy and water bill. Yes, we got to have uranium. And let's face it, Oak Ridge is the uranium center of the world. Our friends out west are a little bit better versed, a lot better versed with plutonium.
That would be the Washington group, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And others, Los Alamos.
But during the history of the thing, Hanford was involved in that.
Absolutely.
Okay, I got you.
Absolutely. And today, I'm glad you alluded to this as well. The nuclear weapon of today, with the potential payload, is very, very dangerous. The key was the first atomic weapons, one of which was built here, one was built obviously out west, were devastating, were strong. Today's payout, the arsenal, would be horrific. We do not ever, ever, ever want to see a nuclear war. That's why the work of the men and women at the NNSA, at the Y-12 plant, ultimately UPF someday, doing that deterrent work is so, so important. The United States of America does it better than anyone.
Yep.
Oak Ridge does it better than anyone within the United States, and I fund that as chairman of the Energy and Water Subcommittee.
And, my father, when I was growing up, I mean, I was He died the same year as 3 Mile Island, but he was alive for that, I think.
Yeah.
And we had some other things in '79. I was in college. But I can remember discussions even back to the '60s when I was a little boy that basically he would look at me. He worked at O&L 30-plus years at radioisotopes and stuff. And he told me all the time, he would say, people don't know what they're talking about. You cannot fathom what an atomic explosion would do. It's not some. Yeah. He would say the same thing you're saying. That basically, it just people that use that language recklessly are really causing problems.
Well, and the United States and the rest of the world has got to, in the strongest terms, condemn any type of rhetoric coming out, and that has been said time and time again by the Russians with their incursion in Ukraine. And what we have got to do is have an international condemnation of that rhetoric, because we don't ever want to go down that road. It would be devastating to mankind.
Absolutely. We're going to take a small break, and we're going to come right back and talk about some more energy and where America's headed in a number of energy areas. Chuck controls the budget on all of them. So stay tuned. Let's watch.
All right, crew, let's get started. All right.
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance clean energy and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear and environmental fields.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
Daniel Forrester has been recognized as one of East Tennessee's leading attorneys for nearly 2 decades. Civil disputes, criminal defense, divorces, and juvenile custody cases are all part of an impressive resume. Daniel's legal experience also includes representing clients in local, state, and federal courts. A husband and a father, Daniel is a Rule 31 certified mediator who has represented hundreds of families in Chancery Court. Call Daniel Forrester Law Office at 865-457-7900 for a free consultation. Birchfield's is Oak Ridge's premier dining spot. They offer an incredible breakfast buffet that's just $14.95, and it includes your drink. But they also offer Eggs Benedict and pound cake French toast. From 4 to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday, Birchfield's offers happy hour specials, including 50% off appetizers and special prices on drinks, plus amazing dinner entrees that are served from 5 to 10 p.m. Enjoy an unforgettable dining experience today at Birchfield's, located inside the Doubletree Hotel on Illinois Avenue.
Fan Gear Barn is Oak Ridge's source for new and vintage sports fan gear from around the world of sports. Find your favorite team gear at Fan Gear Barn, located at 977 Oak Ridge Turnpike, across from the hospital. Open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week. Closed on Sundays.
Welcome back to Between the Lines. We're talking with Congressman Fleischmann this evening. You know, you can't overstate how important he's become and what he means to Oak Ridge. And I think we're entering our 13th and 14th year. I don't know if that's a banner announcement. That's probably neutral for people. But, you know, we talk about, just for a brief moment, we talk about voting for a closed government, voting for an open government. You know, talking about the budget, that basically we need to fund the budget or we need to reject the budget. Very controversial among conservatives and liberals, et cetera, et cetera. But soldiers can't fight without bullets. I mean, you know, veterans need health care. I mean, you need to work out the differences before then the best you can. But I appreciate your vote. I know everybody in Oak Ridge does appreciate your vote to vote to raise the debt ceiling. I mean, you have no choice.
And you're so right, Alan. Here's the situation. There was a lot of confusion out there. This was not a situation of the annual budget potential yes or no on a shutdown. That is always a very important situation. We will face that in September. What we were facing, literally, was a default on American debt. And that would have been something that, if we had not gotten that done, would have had longer-term effects. I have never been a fan of a government shutdown. Our friends here in Oak Ridge, we've had 3 since I've been in Congress. It's not a happy place to be in Oak Ridge when there's a government shutdown, because our plants shut down. They've got to prepare for this. Individual businesses are hurt, and they've told me, Congressman, it has taken a while to get back. If there had been a default on the national debt, we would have seen the potential, candidly, for a depression, because it would have had international reverberations, it would have had domestic reverberations. We could not have fixed that in a week or two, as we have done traditional government shutdowns. It was apples and oranges. So we needed to get that vote done, and it was a fair deal. Was it perfect? No, but think about it. Republicans did pretty darn well, considering we had 1/3 of the negotiating strength. The Democrats had the Senate, the Democrats have the White House, we had the House, we had concessions, and that's why progressives just really did not like this deal. It was a good negotiation done by our Speaker under all the circumstances, and a responsible vote. I will always be responsible in terms of the way that I advocate and vote, not only for the people of Anderson and Roane counties, but for the entire 3rd District and for the great state of Tennessee.
And we have to remember that we're now 3 months from the end of the year. The year ends September 30th, and what the Congressman is referring to is they have to get a budget passed that they can agree on for 2024, which starts October 1st of 2023. Correct.
So important. And in that budget deal, if we do not, and that's why, again, focus has been put on appropriators. There are 12 cardinals, 12 subcommittee chairs of appropriations, but if the appropriation bills, all 12 of them, and my bill, the Energy and Water bill, just was passed out of our full committee, passed it in subcommittee, full committee, we should go to the floor in July. We're going to have to get that passed. Then the Senate is going to have to get that passed. And then, of course, the administration will have an ability to either sign off or not. But if we do not do that, there are automatic sequester cuts that come in across the board. That is baked into the debt ceiling agreement. So the debt ceiling agreement will continue to affect the appropriations process. Bottom line, a lot more focus on being an appropriator. I'm Tennessee's only appropriator in the House. Fortunately, we have our dear friend, my dear friend, Senator Bill Hagerty, who I speak with almost on a weekly basis. He serves on the Senate Appropriations Committee. He's actually junior to that role because he's newer in the Senate. Senator Alexander actually chaired that subcommittee. So, again, a lot of focus, a lot of responsibility on me. I'm up to it. I enjoy it, and we're going to get it done.
Yeah, there's no bigger fan of Senator Bill Hagerty than me. You've heard me speak and talk about things. He's got great capacity. He's smart. He's intelligent.
He's a statesman.
That's right.
He's a statesman.
He's a throwback a little bit.
Yes, sir.
He is. There's no question about that. He kind of reflects Lamar Alexander better than most. That would be my position on it.
More conservative than Lamar, though.
Yeah,
yes.
very. Yeah.
So I guess that is the time. And but love Bill, love his team. They think the world of you, by the way.
Thank you. And let's talk about Riley Levingood for 30 seconds.
Oh yes.
Riley represents. Represents Senator Hagerty here in Knoxville, Tennessee, as his field app here, and he took a 10-week leave of absence to go play professional football for the Pittsburgh Maulers. He's a long snapper. He was an All-American at UT. And they've made it to the championship, the Super Bowl of the USFL. So they played last week. They made a 59-yard field goal with a minute left. The other team came back and made a 47 with 20 seconds. Then they went to overtime. It was the craziest game I'd ever seen. It was on national TV.
Riley is one of those great individuals. He's from Bradley County, Tennessee.
Correct.
His daddy's a pastor down there. I represent, for our listeners, all of Bradley County. Yeah. It's my second largest county after Hamilton.
His dad's a great guy. His brother's pastor in Knoxville.
I didn't know that.
Out in Concord
but
somewhere.
Bradley is one of those great, Riley is one of those great individuals who has stuck with it. Tremendous talent, long snapper at the Big Orange, my alma mater. But when he faced adversity, he had a guard fall on him the last play of the game and hurt his knee. Was ready to go pro. He has stuck with it. He's a great athlete. He's a good guy. And I'm so pleased when he called and said he had gotten a contract
that's great.
with the Pittsburgh Maulers, and now here he's going to play in the championship game.
Yeah, and I think it's an audition for the NFL, to be fair. I mean, I
Sure.
think I don't think he missed a snap at UT, but he's a good coverage guy.
Yep.
And we'll get back to energy, though. So tell me, when you're going across the energy budget, you hadn't spent a lot of time on certain areas. I mean, you voted on them, you studied the bills, et cetera, et cetera. Tell me what our needs are we know what Oak Ridge is doing.
Okay.
If you spread it out, what's going on in the West? What's going on at Los Alamos, Hanford, Connecticut?
Sure.
What do you see? What are our challenges?
The Department of Energy, for convenience purposes, we could split into two. The NNSA, the National Nuclear Security Administration, that's Y12 UPF,
That's correct.
is part of the Department of Energy, okay? That's very important. But the other side, the Office of Science, the Office of Fossil Fuels, we have a lot in the civil portfolio in the Department of Energy, which is robust. That funds all of the advanced computer science research,
Now
the
we're
supercomputers, yes, all of our national labs, materials research, nuclear energy, civil nuclear energy. America is leading again. We have some of the best designs out there. And what's happening is these companies are coming to Oak Ridge. That makes me feel so good. We've had so many new ones come, so many more want to come. Congressman, we understand that the Oak Ridge community, excuse the pun, is warm to nuclear energy, and it is so good. And I will say this, despite very strong fundamental differences with this administration, and I have them, their Department of Energy has worked well with me when it comes to bringing businesses to Oak Ridge. They show up. Secretary Huff came out when UltraSafe opened up. They will actually work with me on things that help our civil nuclear programs. I'm the leader. I will share this with you. You're going to get an exclusive tonight.
Okay, exclusive. We like those.
Oh, wow. Well, you shared the MVP. I am going to get the National Nuclear Award. That means that the USNIC conference has chosen me out of every senator and House member to get the National Nuclear Award July 27th in Washington, D.C. What does that mean? That means that it shows that I can work with everyone to get it done.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned the rest of the United States. Absolutely. All of our other reservations, the Idaho Lab does a good job. I was very fair to them in this bill.
You actually write the funding bills, the authorized funding for all of the different.
That's right.
Okay.
I wrote the energy and water bill for the United States House,
Right.
and was fair across the boards to our friends in Hanford, Savannah River, Los Alamos, wherever there was a reservation. I can look people in the eye and say I was fair. Now, did Oak Ridge do very well? Of course they did, and they should, and we will, because I do say we are the leaders. You pick the area, ORNL, of everything a national lab does. Some labs do one of them, some labs do 10 of them. Let's say there's 25 of them. ORNL does every one of them. Needs to be funded, and that's what I do.
Tell me about, I read a couple of books about radiation and stuff and things. Hanford's a big place.
Yes, it is.
I mean, they say it's huge. I haven't been out there.
I'm so glad you said that, because during the Manhattan Project, and as most of our listeners know, I was instrumental in getting a national park, a new national park. It's called the Manhattan Project National Park. It covers Oak Ridge, Hanford, and Los Alamos. There's 3 sites that were very instrumental in the Manhattan Project. Oak Ridge was small.
Yeah.
It was a small valley. Hanford, literally, as I understand
50
it,
square miles or something.
Yeah, more than that. They tell me, but I think close to 900. It's in the Washington State desert, and they basically went in and cut down apple orchards and did the plutonium work out there. We do have legacy work to get cleaned up out there.
You got a lot of legacy work. From what I read, the
plutonium
wind
tanks.
blew the wrong direction, and man, it's bad in some areas.
Well, and we have buried plutonium tanks out there with.
And plutonium is
plutonium
much.
tanks.
I mean, to explain to our listeners, you can put uranium on this table, and we might get sick.
Well,
If you put plutonium on this table, we're dead, right?
Well, yes, that's a little bit of an oversimplification, but yes, certain types of uranium are safer than others,
Sure.
depending at what level they get
Sure.
enriched.
Highly enriched is different. Yeah.
But that's right. We have lightly enriched,
Sure.
highly enriched, and then we
HUE.
have weapons grade, of course, which is north of 90%.
Yeah.
But be that as it may, plutonium is a different animal, and today's nuclear weapon, in order to have the payout, has a uranium and a plutonium component.
I see.
The first atomic weapon that was dropped, made in Oak Ridge, was a uranium bomb. The other one was made out west was a plutonium bomb.
Right.
Yes,
Interesting.
but dangerous stuff.
But Hanford needs a lot of cleanup.
Yes,
How's your cleanup budget?
good, robust, and we're cleaning
How
up.
many areas are funded by it?
Right
Roughly,
now, 95, I
Wow.
would say. Yeah.
I saw where Pittsburgh was got some cleanup money a year ago or something. I didn't even know they had
Yes.
anything clean up.
Well, anywhere that there was work, Oak Ridge has a legacy cleanup that will last for decades. We're getting it done. Hanford is the problem site. It takes over 1/3 of the budget, and they deserve it, candidly, on nuclear cleanup. But Los Alamos, Idaho, Paducah, Savannah River, a big cleanup mission down there. So we're actually, since the Department of Energy started this, we've cleaned up completely a lot of legacy sites. Let's give kudos to our friends at UCOR right here. They took down the K-25 plant under time, under budget, cleaned it up, and what are we going to have? Economic development. Everyone's worked together. We get the property back on the tax rolls for Oak Ridge, for the counties. We get them out of the DOE portfolio. We clean it up. We have economic development. What does this mean? It means our history is great, our current is great, but the future here in Oak Ridge, as companies say to me, where should we go in America if we want to do nuclear? I give them one answer: Oak Ridge.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about that, and we'll take a break in a minute. But West Oak Ridge has potential.
Yes.
Airport, land.
Gosh.
And I know for a fact, being in the business, that there are 2 or 3 large contractors looking at West Oak Ridge.
Well, thank you
OEM
for
type
mentioning.
guys, yeah.
Thank you for mentioning the airport. I have a friend. You have a friend. I think the world of him, Sean Gleason. The guy's just great.
He's
okay?
incredible. Visionary.
And when you get someone like Sean that actually brings his business to Oak Ridge and then runs for office, straight up guy. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
United States Marine, just a good guy.
Irishman from Philly, right?
Yeah, there you go. That's
He's
right.
tough. I love him.
But a straight up guy too,
Oh, yeah.
which is what
Very
you
smart.
like. Yes,
He's an analytical kind of guy.
he sure is. Double thumbs up for him.
Yes.
But he wants an airport. I want to see an airport. This is going to be built on former legacy site grounds that we've cleaned up, that we've gotten back in our portfolio. We've got some work to do. Oak Ridge is the last large-sized city in Tennessee of its size without an airport.
That's correct.
Now, I'm going to talk about a city that's near and dear to me, Cleveland, Tennessee. Bradley County had an airport, okay? But what did they do? They built a bigger airport. The economic
But to be fair,
repercussions-
you're dealing with 180,000 people, 110,000 people in Bradley.
Yeah, that's
We're dealing
right.
with 70. That's close enough, I guess. You're
That's right. But
But we have more industry, too.
we have more industry. People come into this area. Where do they have to fly into? Wonderful airport, McGee Tyson. I like McGee Tyson. But they've got to fly there, drive over here. We need to get an airport in Oak Ridge. We need to fund it. We need to get it done. It's going to take work with the city of Oak Ridge, Anderson County, Roane County. Federal government will have a role. And I've been working on airports. Collegedale, beautiful little city in Hamilton County.
I know.
Little Debbie country. I love it over there. I'll be there Friday. Has an airport, but we're going to have to put money into that to bring it up to speed. It's not for instrument rating and things like that. When Oak Ridge does an airport, I want it to be one of the best airports in the country.
Yeah. Big, for its size.
Beauchamp Field. I can see
that'd
it
be
right
great.
now.
That'd be a cemetery problem, as old as I am. Let's take a break, Brad, and we'll come right back. Thank you for watching Between the Lines. Okay.
All right, crew, let's get started. All right.
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
At At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance clean energy and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear and environmental fields.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
Daniel Forrester has been recognized as one of East Tennessee's leading attorneys for nearly 2 decades. Civil disputes, criminal defense, divorces, and juvenile custody cases are all part of an impressive resume. Daniel's legal experience also includes representing clients in local, state, and federal courts. A husband and a father, Daniel is a Rule 31 certified mediator who has represented hundreds of families in Chancery Court. Call Daniel Forrester Law Office at 865-457-7900 for a free consultation. Birchfield's is Oak Ridge's premier dining spot. They offer an incredible breakfast buffet that's just $14.95 and it includes your drink. But they also offer Eggs Benedict and pound cake French toast. From 4 to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday, Birchfield's offers happy hour specials including 50% off appetizers and special prices on drinks. Plus amazing dinner entrees that are served from 5 to 10 p.m. Enjoy an unforgettable dining experience today at Birchfield's, located inside the Doubletree Hotel on Illinois Avenue.
Welcome back to Between the Lines. We're talking with Congressman Chuck Fleischmann, one of the most respected congressmen in the country, and he right here in Chattanooga, and he covers Oak Ridge and the whole 3rd District. Congressman, when you look at your budget that you just wrote, your bill that you wrote for the upcoming year, and you look at 58B, where are the changes in funding? Have there been? Is it pretty much what we saw last year, or has there been some increases in certain areas?
It's an excellent question. The budget changes year to year. That's why you want to avoid a continuing resolution, which is a repeat of the previous year. My bill put much more of an emphasis on the weapons program, on the NNSA side.
Good.
UPF, of course, and those programs. Now, we've got robust funding for legacy cleanup, which is usually something that is bipartisan. And we basically made sure that the national labs were funded. What we basically did, though, is Democrats have different priorities than Republicans. So what we did is we took out some of the wokeness in the bill, candidly, and some of their initiatives. And they'll have a chance through the Senate and through the President to try to negotiate that. Yeah, to conference. I'll be in the conference committee. Yeah. But I just had a more conservative bill. But we funded everything. We were responsible. We weren't draconian. We just didn't go in and just wipe things out. We were fair. We were meticulous. It is a very, very good bill. I'm looking forward to it going to the floor. Hopefully in July. We've passed 5 appropriation bills of the 12 so far. So
including yours?
Including mine. We did that this past week. It went very, very well. I did not get any Democratic votes in committee. I got every Republican vote in committee, which was very important.
Not easy these days.
Not easy these days. Every member of the Freedom Caucus, and we have 4 members of the Freedom Caucus on the Appropriations Committee now, voted for my bill.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, you're a communicator. I mean, I do negotiations, and that's pretty much what I do for a living and stuff. But I think that in development work, I think you're not antagonistic. Is that a fair statement?
I try to work with people, and I keep an open door policy, Alan. As you know, I'm a conservative Republican, but I like people, and I realize
the Democrats appreciate that.
They do,
I think. And others, independents, Republicans. I think even I watch conservative Republicans interact with you much more. I'm talking about the far right.
Yeah.
Always laughing and smiling, same on the other side.
Sure.
And some of the Democratic leaders in these committees are in their advanced years, late 70s, early 80s.
They are. My Democratic co-chair is a lady from Ohio, Marcy Kapper.
Great lady.
Very nice lady from Toledo, the longest-serving woman in congressional history.
Morton Closey.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, more than Pelosi. She disagreed with large parts of my bill, but she agreed with big parts. I put something in there for the Great Lakes.
Sure.
I think as Americans, we have got to respect the fact that we want clean water and clean air.
Sure.
And I want to make sure that those Great Lakes, which at one point in time were very heavily polluted, they're cleaner now.
Yeah.
We want to get
I
them
lived
totally-
on Erie in 83 and 84.
Wow.
Pretty dark. Yeah.
Yep.
But it wasn't any worse than Indians baseball.
Now Guardians baseball.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, that's
That's
Indians
exactly
to me.
right. Yeah.
Lake City's Lake City, and the Cleveland's the Indians.
Yeah.
That's
No,
the way I
Rock-
look at it.
now Rocky Top. That's right.
yeah.
Used to be what? Coal something.
Coal Creek.
Coal Creek in the
Back
day.
in the turn of the century, the last century, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we love them all.
Yeah, New River had 5,000 people in those days.
We brought water to New River.
We did bring water to New River.
I remember that. We did that early in my congressional
2010
career.
and 11, yeah.
Yeah, we get about, 98 people voting that precinct, and I think
Depends
I went,
on a general election, you'll get 95 to 100. Like in an August election, there'll be 50, and then like in a primary.
and I lose about 3 of them.
That's it.
That's
About
right.
3. You're pretty well liked up there.
Yeah, thank you.
Sabre, what took you up there?
I was going to say, when Sabre Beauchamp takes you to New River,
Well, you got
it's
to
like
Phillips
Caesar
on that
taking
trip.
you
gotta
back to
go
Rome.
She's a Phillips on that trip. I mean,
That's exactly right.
So, tell me what the challenges of the laboratories are. I mean, it seems to me, and I'm not a technology guy, I'm a business guy, but it seems to me that technology is advancing so fast. Let's talk about AI in the plants, and let's talk about some
Sure.
things that challenge our culture.
Absolutely. Well, you mentioned the national labs. National labs were on the Hill last week. They came to see me. As our listeners may or may not know, I'm an appropriator. I sit on 3 key appropriation subcommittees. I chair Energy and Water. Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, my friend, came to me a couple of months ago and he said, "Chuck, I want you to go back on the Science Committee." And I was being a little rhetorical with my dear friend, and I said, "Why? Why?" He said, "Because we want to get an appropriator on the Science Committee." I started my career on the Science Committee. I went back at his request. So now I'm an appropriator and an authorizer. So in football terms, I'm on offense and on defense. I
Okay.
play both sides of the ball. Having said that, the labs portfolio, there are 17 wonderful national labs. They're all great.
It's hard to, I didn't think there were that many. I thought it was 12 or
Now,
something.
my lab is ORNL,
Right.
run by Battelle, and my alma mater, the University of Tennessee at Knoxville. Go Big Orange. I gave that speech in the MVP speech.
Notice I had
So-
the UT tie on. He
Yeah.
has the Alabama tie on. I just want to
I got
That's a little orange.
I got a red tie on, yeah. But be that as it may, AI is very important. Oak Ridge will have a major role in artificial intelligence. I think this is something that we have got to realize the magnitude and the strength of what AI is, of what it can be, and we've got to be very careful.
Dangerous.
It has, just like any great development, there's always a potential bad use for it, okay? And when you think that they can actually recreate a person's voice and use it for nefarious purposes, their image and use it for nefarious purposes, so we've got to watch it, but we want to make absolutely certain that while there is AI, that the United States continues to lead in that area, and our national labs are doing a great job.
What about robotics? You ever come across that? Robotics?
I do. I do.
Any closer to like a cook or somebody can clean or something?
Going to a new factory right now, whether it's in Anderson or Roane County or in McMinn County, and that's why we need a trained workforce. Many of these robots are doing welding, they're doing so many different things. It's amazing to watch. However, you need a person skilled and trained to run that robot. And I've been so impressed because our new workforce, and these are great paying jobs, $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year jobs to people who get trained in this. They will actually sit there, program the computer, work with the robot, and get things done. So the new American factory is cleaner, is safer, has many more robotic elements to it, and that's going to be the factory of the future. So we will need fewer workers, but we will need better trained workers, and they will be compensated at a very high rate. We have a dearth in this country, a need in this country easily for hundreds of thousands of more workers who can run these robots and computers.
I know they put, I remember I was at E-Tech, and
Yes.
there was a presentation 4 or 5 years ago, maybe less, about robotics in Austin Peay.
Yes.
And I think Pell Seeker, somebody was getting into the thing. So I don't know.
You usually come when I speak.
I do. That's about it. I mean, Shirley comes for our company.
Yeah.
You know, Shirley's the rep for Tetra Tech. But
Well,
yeah,
it's always good to see Shirley. When Shirley comes, I've got to put the A game on.
That Shirley's,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
Shirley will judge you. Well, she's got the skills to evaluate you.
Yes,
I don't have the
indeed.
skills
That's
to
I get the
evaluate you.
report card from Shirley.
Shirley,
Okay,
that's right. Shirley's the authority on that.
Yep.
Et cetera, et cetera. So we have all this stuff in plants and so much going on in California. I mean, it's interesting. Sandia's out there.
Yes, California.
Livermore?
That's right. Let's give kudos to the California labs and our labs in the West. They're all good. The recent fusion breakthrough.
Let's talk about fusion.
Yeah, let's talk about fusion. I chair 5 nuclear caucuses in the United States House, or nuclear-related caucuses. Okay, caucuses are great because Republicans and Democrats can come together and say, we like widgets, and you all work together on widgets, and hardly anybody fights. You get into a room, you work together. These are caucuses, and Nuclear Cleanup Caucus, Advanced Nuclear Caucus, they're all mine.
Yeah.
I chair them with a Democratic co-chair, and we do well.
They're smart enough to get you to do all the work. That's what
That's what they do, because they know Fleischmann will do the work.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, they asked me to chair the Fusion Caucus, and I am the Republican lead on the Fusion Caucus.
Excuse me, but from my understanding, it's a very Democratic focus. I'm just being generalizing, but Democrats like fusion.
They do.
Okay.
Republicans pretty much all love fission. I'm getting more. I've got about half the Democrats on fission. There's some I'll never get. Pelosi will never get. Some of the older Dems I'll never get. It's more of an age divide. The younger progressive Democrats disagree with me everything except they'll come over on fission energy. But fusion, all the Dems love it. Some of the Republicans.
What's
Okay.
the difference?
Very, very different.
I mean, I understand fission and fusion. You know.
All right. In fission, you're breaking apart atoms to create energy. That's what actually happens with nuclear energy and the like. With fusion, it's what actually happens in our sun. Our sun is a star. You're basically taking atoms and you're fusing them together. So instead of dividing them, they're coming together at great and high temperatures and producing energy. Why do the Democrats like it so much? Because it's clean energy.
That's right.
When it works. It's difficult, but we had a breakthrough, and it came through out at the Lawrence Livermore Laboratory. And one of the naysayers about fusion always said, you're putting too much energy in and not getting enough energy out.
And you hit a threshold. You hit a threshold.
Okay, we got, as a result of an experiment, I want to make sure I get this right for our listeners, we have 1.0 in and 1.5 yield out.
That's good.
Which is good, because prior to that it had been 0.7, 1 in and 0.7. So that worked. We've got
So can
work
we replicate that process?
We can and we must. And what we're seeing now is a fusion industry. A group of about 20 or 30 fusion companies have started. We are going to fund fusion through the energy and water bill, just like we're doing fission. The president actually put a very high mark on fusion. Now, we're not going to meet his mark. He put $1 billion on it, okay? We're not going to do that, but we're going to get a robust number. Think of a few years ago, it was only $45 million.
Yeah.
And I've actually lectured at the White House on fusion.
Yeah.
I have a dear friend, Dr. Kathy McCarthy over at ORNL. She's my fusion teacher.
She taught you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like you kind of taught me politics, she taught me fusion. I don't know who did
Who
better.
did the better job?
I don't know. We'll let
You're
our
still
listeners
working.
know. I'm still working. Okay, that's exactly right. So, and I haven't figured out how to get us to commercial fusion. So I guess you win that one. But seriously, ORNL actually teaches me fusion, and we work together on that. Republicans and Democrats working together. But I will say this: fusion companies are coming to me, and they say, "Where do we want to go?" Please come to Oak Ridge. If we're going to have anything big happening in the future, this is where I get very competitive. Now, and you know I'm very competitive. I play competitive sports, baseball, football, politics. I play to win. I never play for second place.
And you're still a Mets fan.
And I'm still a Mets fan. That's exactly right. And a Vols fan. And what else?
That's good enough.
I like
being competitive, being a Mets fan could be.
I like the
futile
Rangers.
expression.
Yes.
They can hit. They can hit.
Indeed. I like our Nashville Predators. I do, but
yeah.
I'm still a Rangers fan. So
Well,
what are
you
gonna
grew
do?
up there.
We're going to say I come back honest, as we say in East Tennessee.
Yeah.
But be that as it may, fusion is the energy of the future. Fission is the energy right now. We need to research in both. We need to move forward in both. But we've got to get fission done. Our new nuclear right now is fission. Great designs, great potential, great companies. And where are they coming? They're coming to Oak Ridge. They're coming to Tennessee.
One last break, Brad, and then we're going to talk about the governor's involvement in nuclear energy and his new funding process.
Yes.
So we'll
thank
get
you.
back to that.
All right, crew, let's get started. Sure.
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance clean energy and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear and environmental fields.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
Daniel Forrester has been recognized as one of East Tennessee's leading attorneys for nearly 2 decades. Civil disputes, criminal defense, divorces, and juvenile custody cases are all part of an impressive resume. Daniel's legal experience also includes representing clients in local, state, and federal courts. A husband and a father, Daniel is a Rule 31 certified mediator who has represented hundreds of families in Chancery Court. Call Daniel Forrester Law Office at 865-457-7900 for a free consultation. Birchfield's is Oak Ridge's premier dining spot. They offer an incredible breakfast buffet that's just $14.95, and it includes your drink. But they also offer Eggs Benedict and pound cake French toast. From 4 to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday, Birchfield's offers happy hour specials, including 50% off appetizers and special prices on drinks, plus amazing dinner entrees that are served from 5 to 10 p.m. Enjoy an unforgettable dining experience today at Birchfield's, located inside the Doubletree Hotel on Illinois Avenue.
Back to Between the Lines, and we're talking with Congressman Chuck Fleischmann. We were talking during the break. There's been an initiative by Governor Lee in Tennessee, and I give him credit. I don't know if anybody else deserves it, but he certainly is the spearhead of it. And they're putting a committee. They're going to appropriate $50 million, from my understanding, and Congressman will tell us more, for nuclear initiatives, to build business, to create infrastructure, whatever the directives of that committee are. Tell us about the membership, what the purpose of this is, and is it reoccurring? Is it $50 million every year?
Excellent question, and thank you to Governor Lee for this. Yes. Governor Lee, Jeff Lyash, who heads up TVA, and I were recently, a couple months ago, at Clinch River. We went out there, and that's going to be the site of TVA's modular nuclear reactor. They've chosen a great design, a GE Hitachi design, and we went out there to do that. And the governor at that time mentioned that he wanted to make Tennessee a state where that if the nuclear industry was going to be launched in America, we wanted to make that in Tennessee. A very laudatory goal, outstanding idea. He got $50 million in this year's budget, and he has basically said that if it goes well, he's going to have that recurring next year and then in his final year. We hope that is a great appropriation, $50 million. Now remember, I have $7.4 billion of federal dollars going in, and that will go up, but this is a great idea on his part. What he did, and I'm glad I submitted some names. I think Lyash did, other people did. But what the governor did, to his credit, he put down an executive order, a structure as to how people get on this board. And we've had robust competition. Many of our friends, Alan, want to be in there. We have such a good talent pool right here in Oak Ridge, at the lab, at Y12 UPF, in the cleanup community. At the universities, we just have such good, in the companies, such good talent pool. So it's going to be a group of about 15 to 20 people. I was actually asked to be on the board. I'm very thankful for that. Unfortunately, or fortunately, House Ethics, with whom I always check, said that I could not do it. They said it would be a conflict of interest, so I will not do that. The executive order provides for a member of the House and the Senate to be a member of that from the federal delegation, so that probably will go unfulfilled. Again, ethics comes in and says, well, look, Chuck, you're a federal appropriator. You should not be engaging in this. I'm not going to engage in it. So they'll have to find somebody else. But it'll be a great board. If it goes well, it'll be an advisory board. And here's the best thing about it. Let's say you have a universal widget that, whether you're GE Hitachi, Ultrasafe Nuclear, Holtec, pick the company, NewScale, wherever they've got a design, if there's a universal widget, let's build it right here in East Tennessee. So kudos to the governor for that. I did say that I would be there to lecture, to help. I cannot be on the board, but it's going to be a great board. You're going to see some really, really great names come out of this community on that board.
Well, it seems like an opening for Steve Howell to me, but I'm not going to get into all that. He's not going to get into all that representation, but
it's vicarious. He would be great on it, but since he works for me,
he's conflicted.
It's vicarious.
He's risen to the top. So your staffers will be conflicted too, wouldn't they?
They're all conflicted. My staffers, everybody. It's vicarious. One thing about it.
What's the goal of this $50 million? What are we going to do with it? Is it obviously, if it's nuclear,
seed money to attract?
All right. We're not going to pay electric bills or clean buildings. Right. We're going to be seed money to attract people.
If you want to build nuclear widgets for the nuclear industry and come to Tennessee, it's going to be there for your company, and it'll be a competitive process. It'll be a good, open, and honest process. And we want these companies to choose Tennessee. They're going to come here anywhere, anyhow. But I always harken back to what Senator McKellar told President Roosevelt. Where in Tennessee are we going to build it? When people ask me these questions, where in Tennessee are we going to build it? And if it's nuclear, where in Oak Ridge are we going to put it?
Right. McKellar was strong.
He was.
He was pretty influential.
What a great
story. I remember
story.
Kefauver mostly in the history, but he was strong too, because Kefauver had a much more, what's the word I'm looking for, public profile in terms of hearings and stuff, et cetera. Brilliant man.
From Monroe County, from Madisonville. I represent all of
Had him in
Monroe
my house when I was a little boy. He used to eat with my dad, come over with Frank Wilson and visit. Him and Al Gore Sr. We had a lot of them come by the house there. We all lived up on the ridge. Oak Ridge was booming in those days.
Yes.
We were booming.
I have been to the Kefauver family farm. His son is a wonderful veterinarian in Monroe County and a Republican. Isn't that great?
A lot of old timers are.
Yeah.
He had, my father said, and actually Frank Wilson actually told me this kid too, but he had a photographic memory. Kefauver could see you in Connecticut, meet you once in Tennessee, and stop and say, Harold, how are you? I mean, it was just amazing, my father said. He'd see him places all over the country and they'd talk. And
practiced law in Chattanooga. Was part of the 1935 Chattanooga Bar Association. Wasn't president. I was president of the Chattanooga Bar in 96, back when I made an honest lawyer as a living. Honest living as a lawyer.
That would take a whole other show, so we'll talk about that. Bottom of the sea, folks, bottom of the sea.
I saw your Forrester ad, so he looks like a heck of a good lawyer.
He is a good lawyer. He's very, very smart, and he's announced for chancellor, and he's one of the best in Anderson County by far, and he's very trusted by their attorneys. That's a good measurement, you know. When other attorneys want you to mediate, want you to do different things, that means they have a good feel for you. So I've known him. I've known attorney for Counsel Forrester since probably he's 20, 21 years old. He married a young lady from Quentin who worked for me as an intern a long time ago. I'm old. I've seen everybody once.
I was going to say, you've been around a while. They know you.
My wife was talking about it last night. She was talking about her birthday was yesterday. So
happy
she
birthday.
was 43, and her and Forrester and others were joking about how old I am. And it's hard to argue it anymore. 68 years old. But of course, and then I just point to Either president you vote for is going to be 78. That's what I tell them all. So you don't even hit your prime till 60s in politics, right?
Well, thank you. That's very good. Considering
You're in your 60s now.
I'm 60. I'll be 61 in October.
Right.
I came to this job at age 48 when I was going to retire from the practice of law, which was very good to me. But I love what I do, Alan. I really
absolutely.
do. And one of the reasons I really love what I do is I represent great people. I mean, I never knew, coming out of Chattanooga, what an opportunity. Representing the people in Anderson, Roane County, the city of Oak Ridge, has made me not only a national congressman, but internationally. People from all over the world come and meet with me.
What committees do you sit on besides energy? Let's get on that.
Labor, Education, Health and Human Services,
Big committee,
Appropriations.
second biggest committee?
Second biggest, and I've got the second chair there. And State and Foreign Operations, which
Which
funds,
is probably the one you love the most.
yes, from an intellectual standpoint,
Yeah.
yes, and that's the problem.
You know
as you
people
know,
all over the world.
I'm like you. Alan is a great scholar and is a great intellect,
Oh.
and I'm serious about that. And just ask your sister. So be that as it may.
Don't ask my wife.
She does pretty good too.
She
But
would say,
we love to have these great discussions. So I'm on three subcommittees.
history's great.
But now I'm back on the Science Committee. So I'm an authorizer and an appropriator. So I'm a busy man.
$50 million seed money. I think Roane County, Anderson County, West Oak Ridge should get a major portion of that money.
Oh, yes.
Because we're
no
the biggest
question.
nuclear facility, obviously.
Where will they come? They will come here. No question.
I can see some developments in some other areas of the West.
Chattanooga, actually, because of the Oak Ridge Chattanooga partnership, with I actually forged, we're seeing more nuclear companies come
But there's
into.
another nuclear site somewhere in Middle Tennessee, isn't there, or west?
I don't know.
Okay.
But having said that Oak Ridge
West
Chattanooga
Tennessee.
partnership has been incredible.
Yeah.
It's even better than the partnership with Knoxville.
And when you think of $50 million being roughly 1% of the budget, 0.7% or 1% budget in Oak Ridge, but it's got a chance to develop some land. How about infrastructure? Can you do that with it?
Yes.
Okay.
They're going to be very open-ended. My point to the group was, I think the best thing to do is if you've got something that is universal, in other words, regardless of the modality, regardless of the design, there's going to be certain things that are going to be just inherent or critical in every nuclear power plant, a modular nuclear reactor, a microreactor, an advanced reactor. So if you do that and you pick that, they will all have to come and buy that particular widget.
Right.
So I think we're going to move towards that. But yes, it'll be competitive, it'll be good, and let's hopefully it will be recurring, not only for the final 3 years of the Lee administration, but in terms of future governors. We want to start talking with them. I'll make it easy for you. I am not going to run for governor of the great state of Tennessee.
Everybody else is.
Everybody else is. So, and that's why I can be everybody's friend. I'm very, very comfortable in my role as a senior appropriator. Some would argue now at my current status that I've become one of the more powerful federal politicians, not only in Tennessee but across the country. I enjoy that role. It's a coveted role. I respect that role. I stay humble.
It's about the role. Yeah, it's
Yes.
more the position than it is the man sometimes. You just got to work hard and be diligent about what you're doing. We got a couple minutes left before we finish this segment on energy. Is there anything else that you can see that really needs to be addressed? I mean, well, I'll tell you what.
Sure.
UCOR cleaned up K25 pretty well. Got it done.
And
But
still
there's-
is cleaning up other sites.
That's right.
Yes.
But the Y12 whole
Yes.
issue then between them and ORNL, there's a lot of work to do. Real quick, give us a 90-second on the landfill, the waste.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
real
you.
quick. Yeah.
On August the 2nd, I have worked, Alan, 13 years on this. Had to go through TDEC.
You did?
Had to go through the Department of Energy.
Yep.
And all were lined up. And for years and years, I begged EPA to work with
Yeah.
me to get the second disposal cell worked out here for Oak Ridge. The significance of that is we've got about 70 buildings that still need to come down
Yeah.
at ORNL. I mean, down, we've got that, and the existing
Y12's got
cell.
some tear downs too.
Yes, indeed. So the entire reservation, we need to clean up these legacy buildings. We're running out of space. The current cell is going to fill up 2027
Yep.
or so. getting this built was Herculean, the hardest thing I've done since I've been in
When do they
Congress.
start construction on the cell?
We are going
got
to
1 minute.
August 2nd. We're going to do the
Break the ground.
Going to break the ground.
2 years to build it?
Maybe a little bit longer, but we're going to focus on that. I'll be with Secretary Granholm tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm going to invite her to the grand opening. This is so important. The hardest thing I've had to do in Congress, we got it done. EPA signed off on it last year. A great win for Oak Ridge, and it's a great win for the future.
When we come back next week, when we take that segment, we're going to look at, we'll talk about the water plant a little bit and some other things in Oak Ridge.
Please.
We got 30 seconds. You got 30 seconds to tell me why the Republicans are winning baseball games when the Democrats used to win them all. Did their pitcher get beat, the guy that beat y'all?
Their pitcher left and went with the administration. He was a great athlete, Cedric Richmond, but we've got tremendous
Those big
talent.
Texas boys can play.
They all can play. They're great guys. I got the MVP. The team deserved MVP.
Yeah, that was symbolic because you're symbolic. See you next week. Thank you.